Hello and welcome to Chez Zasaa. I am Zaza, and Chez Zasaa basically means my place. And at my place, we do a lot of talking. I'm going to be having conversations with different people on different topics, and hopefully you will join me. Now, one of the people that I have lots of conversations with, and I'm not going to say that he's a willing participant, but I do have lots of conversations with my husband, Wale. So, that smile was so fake. Anyway, this is my husband Wale, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Oh, you've done it. No.
Well,
yeah. We've been married for 25 and a half years. Yep.
Yep, correct.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I had no doubt, by the way. Mm-hmm. Yes. And we have 4 children.
Okay. And when we have conversations together, we do it under what we call Tête-à-tête with Tiwa. That Tête-à-tête, head-to-head conversations, one-on-one conversation, and Tiwa, Tinuke and Wale. So that's what we're going to do here today. What's the topic for today?
What is the topic of today?
How do you keep the spark alive?
How do you keep the spark alive?
So first question, is the spark still alive, my darling?
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, it's all over the place. If we don't take time, we set up a fire. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, of course the fire.
Okay, being serious.
Right.
We've been married for 25 years.
Yeah. And a half, by the way.
25 and a half years.
Yes.
And how do we keep it? How is it that we're still okay, that we still find each other attractive, not just physically, but every lily? That's not a word, but in every way. Mm-hmm. What is it? Would you like me to go first?
Yeah.
So you don't have an answer, do you?
I do. I just thought, all right, let's go on.
Okay, how do we keep the spark alive? I think it's certainly for me,
shouldn't be too difficult, really.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, go on, sorry, yeah.
Certainly for me, I was very intentional about certain things because I'm well aware that men are visual. I'm well aware that there's certain things that I know that matter to men. And so I made an effort to make sure that for those things where it was relevant to you, that I was doing what you liked. So I'll give a classic example. When I was pregnant, I was very careful to make sure that I still looked good and carried myself well and was attractive, because I know that it's important. Sometimes you say, of course, there's so much more to relationships than the physical part of the relationship. But sometimes I feel like the physical part is very important to men, and basically what you see matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I tried to make sure, and I succeeded. I tried to make sure that that in times like that and times when I did put on weight, which I did, I have done, and I still do, try to still come correct, as they say, still try and look okay and whatnot. And then also, I think from a point of view that's not necessarily a physical point of view, just in terms of, I said to you at the beginning of this thing that one of the people that I have a lot of conversations with is my husband. And I don't think he's necessarily a willing participant, but okay, you're very good. You're very good, but I know sometimes it's a lot. But it's if just in conversations where you that keeps you because you have to be in love with the person, not just
communication.
Yeah, communication is important. So I guess keeping the spark alive for me was about making sure that we didn't let things slide, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes.
Because I felt like it was really important that all the things that you saw in me before you married me, you would still see in me, and hopefully many more after you married me. Mm-hmm. And so it wouldn't be a thing. So how did you keep the spark? How do you, I don't know, whatever the question is, how did you keep the spark alive?
It wasn't difficult, or it hasn't been difficult.
Hasn't been difficult because I've been doing all those things so that the spark will be alive for you. So what have you been doing for me?
Imagine for a moment if I didn't do anything for you. I doubt very much if you'd still be on that intentional spark of life. No, it's got to be two ways. It's a two-way street. That's the only way it works because of two people involved. No matter how you might try, if it's a one-way thing, one party will become weary in time. In time. So I think I pretty much, but you see, like for you, it might have been intentional.
Yeah.
I don't think for me it has ever been intentional.
So you've not tried to.
It has just been what I've done because I've wanted to do it. Do you see?
No, I don't see. Please explain.
When you say you've been intentional about it, and I understand what you mean, it's working at it.
Yeah.
You've done things deliberately.
I've deliberately made sure that we've had date nights. I've
So
deliberately made sure that
Right.
I look good. I've deliberately made sure that, the house is somewhere you want to come home to. I've deliberately made sure. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those things I've been intentional about. And I think it's probably, as sexist as this might sound.
And that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
It has come naturally to me.
Because I set up the dates.
No, not the. Oh no, look. I beg your pardon, but anyway, no. I think they've come more naturally to me than the need to be intentional. And I'm not saying intentional is not a good thing. Intentional is a good thing, but if you're asking me, I think it's just wired in my DNA that this is what you do.
So what do you do?
I make you happy.
How do you make me happy? Let's pretend that the person asking the question wants to know how. Obviously it's couple relation. As in we can't say what to do specifically, but there must be some standard things. Like the way I said, I make sure that I look good. There's some things that I do that other women can do.
Yeah, of course.
There must be some things that you did that other men can do.
Yeah.
So just say I make you happy. Obviously you have to know your spouse and what makes them what makes them happy.
Or makes but okay, perhaps okay, all right. That perhaps there is then some intention in some of the things that I do. But I think on the whole, I think I just I do it because I know that it would make you happy. There's so many different things.
Can you give me an example of one, please?
I'm here.
This is
that yeah.
That's not keeping the spark alive.
No, it's not. You see, it's the little things. It's the little things. I would never in a million years want to be on TV in front of a camera.
Yeah, he's doing that for me out of his love for me.
But it's just these things, and you do them because, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, intentional in a way, but no, that is what will make her happy. And so you do, and this is what I'm talking about.
Okay, so in terms of keeping the spark alive, you have to. I think for me, you have to know your spouse first.
Right.
You have to know what they like, what makes them tick, what makes do you know what I mean? So that you can then maybe do more of those things. Because you see, the thing is that marriage is tough at the best of times, and life is tough, right? So you're going to meet things that are probably going to make it so that you just don't feel very much like.
You will meet things, but what you also have to do, excuse me, is remove the things that cause. You see, look, you've gone into the marriage. There's the love and there's the headiness and so on and so forth.
Headiness, what's that?
Euphoria and all that of marriage and love and all that. Yeah. Then what happens is life brings you burdens, right?
Yeah.
And the way it is, a life will continue to throw, but it's, it's the way it
absolutely,
goes.
yeah.
Yeah. What happens is you have a choice to continue to soak up those weights that are thrown on you. They say what doesn't break you makes you stronger, right?
Yep.
You can continue to do that, or you can continue to deal with them. Dealing with them, I think we've learned to do.
Okay.
Because we deal with them and we throw them out. And that lightens our load so that our relationship doesn't become a burden. Which is why I said it's also the things that we stay away from.
Yeah.
Also, that help us. Strife, we do not allow strife into our marriage. And this is part of keeping the spark alive.
Okay. I mean, that's true. I would never have thought of that, but yeah, that's true.
Right. We don't allow bitterness. And those are, I think, perhaps when you say things about being intentional, those are the kind of things where no, this person I love, I'm not going to be bitter and I'm not going to take offense. You see? And because that is a choice.
Yeah.
What you decide to take offense to or not, or how far you allow something to go. Something comes to mind. And it's almost like a point of elasticity, and this is talking about dealing with issues or not. As things continue to happen, if they're sorted, if they're resolved, you throw away that weight, and it goes.
Yeah.
You still have more capacity for more.
Yeah.
If you continue not to deal with issues, the weight gets bigger,
Heavier, yeah.
and heavier. It gets heavier and heavier as time goes. There is a point. There's something called a break point, and it will come at some point. But these are times where it says the last straw.
Yeah, that broke the camel's back. Yeah.
And out of nowhere, you think, but it's just a straw, right? No, but it's because of stuff that hasn't been dealt with, and I think we're good with that when it comes to communicating. In dealing with our issues, so that they don't ever become burdens.
Yeah.
And those are the things I think that some of the things that we do to keep that spark alive. Because I'm talking about the things that can dull any kind of spark,
And I guess that's the key thing, because, it's so easy to think of, which is what I was doing when I read the question. Keeping the spark alive is then how do you keep yourselves attracted to each other? But you're bringing up a very valid point in the sense that all of these things add to that, because I wouldn't really have thought of those things. I would have just been like, and so there I was saying date night and looking good and everything, and dealing with maybe the superficial stuff where you've gone
in themselves, not necessarily superficial, but
but you know what I mean.
It's a different angle.
Yeah, different angle where you've gone for like all the things because there's so many things that make up a marriage that if you want to keep the spark alive, you're juggling many balls, and I guess you have to make sure that you're keeping them all up, and that will keep the spark alive.
Keep the spark alive. There's a song by Quincy Jones. I think Quincy Jones produced it, and sang by James Ingram.
Okay.
It's called 100 Ways.
Oh, I know that song.
Yeah, it was to find 100 ways.
To love. 100 ways to love.
To love, yeah. I mean, whatever it is, if it's violin, she likes, let the whole lot of violins play, and so on and so forth. Basically, what the song encourages is that you can always find a way. And so therefore, it's even better if you can find, essentially, it's better if you can find 100 ways because that way you're always
You always have a way.
you're always finding a way, you know. And so yeah, that's
So do you have 100 ways you love me?
you'll be finding out as time goes now, innit?
I wanted you to list the 100 ways that you love.
Abba.
Why not?
So if I'm telling you now,
Oh, is this supposed to be a secret?
it's not a secret, but you know, you'll just find out as they come. You've been finding out, you know.
But maybe I only have 5.
Yeah, so different ways. What else? I think you can always you can always explore and find other ways to keep the spark alive. Like I said, it's a two-way street.
I think, one of the key things as well that we haven't spoken about is actually the communication of like knowing what you would want to keep the spark alive. So, you remember when, I don't do it so much anymore. Maybe this will happen 25 years down the line. But you remember when I used to go with you to jazz concerts because that was what you liked and you wanted to go to a jazz concert and you would like for me to be there with you. You know what I mean? So I would go along with you, even though it wasn't necessarily my thing. Having said that, it then sort of became my thing as well. We haven't done it in a while, but it's that sort of thing of also communicating to know that, okay, and I always say to you, Wale, I would like you to come to the theater with me now. And then you will come to the theater with me. Theater is not really his thing, but in keeping the love alive, he's doing, so I guess it's that thing of also being a bit sacrificial about, okay, this is going to make her happy. And so I'm going to do it. And this is going to make him happy. So I'm going to do it. So, but you don't know what is going to make that person happy if you don't ask or you don't know them. There's no communication going on. And I think a key thing to say here as well is what made you happy in 1980
it might
not make you happy in 2023.
Yeah, I was actually, funny enough, I was just thinking about that. What happens as people change? Because people evolve.
People change and evolve. And that's why you have to know, that's why the communication is so key. Because if you cut off that communication and you base it on when when you first started or whatever, it's almost like
my wanting a Harley Davidson Fat Boy now, but I didn't want the Harley Davidson Fat Boy 20 years ago. I wanted a sports bike.
You wanted a sports bike, yes.
But now...
So you still want a bike, just a different version.
A calmer, more relaxed, laid back,
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah, one of those, yeah.
I don't really know whether you're trying to...
No, I was just saying... I wasn't saying anything in particular. I just mentioned it.
No, but I think that is actually really key because I think sometimes we stick with what we know without finding out what has changed. And like you said, I think it should be. I said relationships are evolving things.
Yeah.
Relationships are live. They're live, and you have to nurture them and keep finding out things change. They're living things. That's the word I'm looking for. They're living things, and so you have to keep finding out what is going on, and we also especially through a long relationship, there are going to be different stages that each partner goes through. Yeah. So, for example, pregnancy for a woman, you could go through job loss. You could go through. There's so many different things that will change the dynamics.
Right.
And if you're not communicating,
then you're stuck in the old.
and you're not going to. So then that spark is going to die because
you almost, I think. And I think this is profound. Sorry, even if I am saying it myself. Sorry, because it just hit me.
Go on.
I think it is necessary for one to continue to reinvent oneself based on the other person as well.
Okay, as profound as you think that was, I don't understand it. Is that because I'm not deep?
No. Maybe I just haven't.
So when you say so to just explain it. So you keep reinventing yourself based. So basically, we're married. We've been married for 25 years. So what you're saying is,
and you've got into another phase of life.
Yes. So I've now. So let's say I've gone into menopause.
So you've gone into menopause.
I've gone into menopause.
It would be expedient.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
to then reinvent, when I say reinvent, myself to accommodate this part of you.
Okay, so I agree with that. I wouldn't have used the word reinvent. I think it's the word reinvent
Okay.
that.
Well, not reinvent.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that. Go on.
Basically, prepare myself.
Yeah.
To be able to still be the same person, but to this
within this new person that I am, this
yes,
phase that
to
I'm
this
in.
phase,
Yes. No, I think that is profound, darling. That is profound. I mean, I think
I nearly knocked myself out.
you just didn't deliver it in a profound manner.
Sorry, you know what it was? I think it hit me, and
So basically, what you're saying is that because all of us are going to change,
yeah,
it is up to the partner, especially if you've decided you're in this thing for life with a person,
yeah.
It's up to the partner to make sure that they are also flexible enough
Yes.
to accommodate those changes.
Yes.
So that it doesn't affect the relationship too much, you know, and especially changes that you can foresee. There's some changes you can't foresee. You know, something like menopause, you kind of know that every woman is going to go through menopause, but you don't know that somebody's going to lose a job, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or that, you know what I mean? So you don't, so there's some that you can't foresee, but there's some that you can foresee. And I guess for the ones that you can foresee, I mean, for all of them, but for the ones that you can foresee, it's easier to maybe position yourself accordingly to be more accommodating.
You know, sorry, that's off topic.
Oh, okay. Off topic?
No, not off topic, still on the topic, but slightly a segue a bit.
Go on.
I don't think blokes have been taught to prepare for menopause.
No, they haven't.
I certainly wasn't.
They haven't. But
and I think that should be a thing.
No, it definitely should be a thing. And I think more and more in this time, I mean, certainly with me amongst my friends and whatnot, it's something that we're discussing more where, you know, but I think, were you taught for pregnancy? I don't think that men have generally been prepared for a lot of things that women go through.
I think
that is wrong because essentially, especially if you're a couple, you go through it together. And maybe one could argue that women are not prepared for things that men go through, but I think that what men go through is probably not as, and I don't want to say this and make it sound, but it is much more defined and specific and dramatic maybe for a woman than what a man, I don't know. But I guess it depends on what a man goes through. Yeah, I mean, I know men go through andropause.
I was going to say perhaps because women are a bit more dramatic anyway.
Perhaps it is, but that's exactly how God made us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. But I think it should be a thing that it should be discussed amongst men more so that men are prepared for it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, you know. Okay, with pregnancy, I think we have an idea. You know, we've always had that idea. Well, I think
maybe pregnancy is spoken about more than menopause is. There's always been some sort of shadow over menopause and some sort of, you know, like, don't speak about it, it's a woman's problem type of thing. So I agree with you.
But it should be discussed.
So you know what, you can go and have this conversation with your men and start the conversation because it will take you guys, you know, we can shout from here to kingdom come that it has, but really it's for you guys to actually own it and run with it because
indeed.
Yeah, so that's your
onus is on us.
Yeah, so that's your task,
to
mate.
deal with that.
You're going to take it to all your friends?
Yeah, sure.
Does that sound convincing? Oh my gosh! But I think it's very valid point.
I do think it's something that I probably will be discussing with my friend.
And you know what I found out the other day, which I didn't know. There are 28 symptoms of menopause. So that's your homework. Yeah, only. That's a lot. You don't think that's a lot?
No, of course, I'm joking.
So that's your homework. Go and find out what those 28 symptoms are.
I do already.
And then discuss it with your friends. Discuss it with your friends. Okay. Well, there we have it. I think we've touched on how to keep the spark alive. And I think that it needs to be quite intentional. While he thinks that there's room for spontaneity. And I think both of them are probably right.
I think the spontaneity would come anyway, because that comes naturally, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is a need. I agree to be intentional as well.
So If there are any topics that you would like us to talk about, any questions you'd like us to answer, please send them in and at least we will try and tackle them. We, as you can see, we go all over the place, but we hopefully gave you something that you can go away with. Yes, so that's it, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
God bless you.
Au revoir.